Hi guys, welcome back to another video. I took it on the road this time. After one of my YouTube heroes who does all his stuff from his car. Strong successful male SSM. Anyway, I know lots of people do theirs from the car. Anyway, it's a bit later than I wanted, and I was hoping that there'd be more light outside than there is. It's 9:30 at night. I shouldn't really be surprised. But I suddenly got this idea for a video. I've been really having fun, enjoying reading Plato's Phaedrus. It just came in the mail yesterday, and I'm just about to finish it. In fact, I got 38 pages left here, and I meant to read it before doing this video, but I'm not doing it on this book. I'm just doing it on one issue that arises from this book, and so I'll definitely do a video on the Phaedrus very soon, in a day or two. But I just want to talk about one thing that really surprised me from this dialogue. As you may or may not know, homosexuality is a big part of Plato's world. Now, the homosexuality part obviously needs some clarification, and it's kind of a misunderstood thing anyway. And as you see, I'm doing this video because I don't quite understand it myself. But again, I've been dealing with the subject for a number of years. And it was just really like the dialogue's amazing. And one of the topics in the dialogue, perhaps the main topic in the dialogue is love. It's not the only Platonic dialogue that deals with love, and more famously, it's dealt with in the Symposium. But I think this one is just this is an amazing dialogue, and in fact I prefer it to the Symposium for a number of reasons. But again, what I want to talk about here is sort of the insight I had in regards to the question of homosexuality in ancient Greece, at least as Plato understood it, perhaps. So let me just start with my premises. Okay. Homosexuality is not normal. It's not natural, obviously. It's not biologically natural. It's kind of psychologically natural, and that's sort of one of the conclusions that I'm coming to here. I don't think homosexuality is normal and natural, and if you define nature and good as coextensive or identical, then it's not morally good either. It's just oftentimes simply a fact, right? That and usually it's preceded by something like, let's put it this way: it's nurture, it's not nature. Okay. So, but how does it me maintaining that? How can I maintain that when it looks so natural in the Phaedrus? Okay, and I deeply respect Plato. He's my favorite philosopher. He's my favorite thinker. So how can I maintain that when homosexuality seems so natural in the Phaedrus, for instance? So dealing with the question of love in the Phaedrus, it's just very, it's very beautiful. And if you supplanted she, her with rather than he, him, then it'd be, perfectly reasonable, approachable subject matter for any Christian or post-Christian person. So as I was reading it, and it's going on and on about love, and he identifies the object of love with the young boy. He keeps saying the young boy, the young boy. I don't think you should understand that pederastically by young boy. I think he means like, a youth, so post-pubescent, 20-year-old or whatever, okay, 18, 16, 18, 20, 25, 30-year-old, whatever, younger than whomever, in this case, Socrates. Now, I'm not going to deal with the question of homosexuality in all its dimensions in Plato. I just wanted to talk about one specific thing, because, it's clear enough in the Symposium that whereas homosexuality, I don't like using that word, homosexuality. I would say same-sex love, maybe same-sex love, because an itty, sort of homosexual itty, talks about an identity, a stable way of being, and so on. And the Greeks clearly didn't understand that there were homosexuals and heterosexuals. They did not have that notion. Um, they had a notion of love. People fell in love, right? So how could love, and here's my question is, how can love be so strongly attached, or how can love be so strongly homosexual? And a few things occurred to me. Knowing Plato from the Symposium, again, he identifies it and he accepts it as a sort of a fact of life. But one of the main points about the Symposium is that Socrates resists Alcibiades, the young, famous, attractive, wealthy, powerful Alcibiades advances, right? Because Socrates isn't. Socrates is spiritual. He's not. He's not. He's not. What's the spiritual? He's not sensual, right? He's not sensual. So he resists and has no problem resisting the overtures of the younger, handsome, whatever, Alcibiades. So why then is it so important, or why does it seem such a natural and important part of life in in the Phaedrus? And here's what I was thinking. Obviously, romance and sex, or romance and sexual desire, are not the same thing. And I'm going to try to keep this video under 10 minutes, so I've got like 2.5 left or something. So let me put it this way. We can become fixated on someone or something and feel every romantic way about that thing, but that sexual desire follows from notional desire, or whatever you want to call it. So in our day and age, and in, say, the Middle Ages, we're talking about courtly love and all that stuff. In our day and age, we equate sexuality with love. We no longer have arranged marriages, economically beneficial arranged marriages. We have people choose their partner, right? And it's supposed to be like this fusion of romance and practicality. So the family is a practical structure. It's an economically practical structure. It's a socially practical structure. And somehow we have this notion that lifelong romantic feeling should be involved in that. And that's irrational. That's rational, or that's just not, obviously, it's not really working out very well, is it? Like, we're not sustaining that notion anymore. For most of human history, marriage has been a practical thing, not a notional or romantic thing. So my point is this. If in Plato's time, marriage was a practical thing, arranged for building up the strength of a family, running a farm, and then running a city-state, running a company, like whatever it is. If you're a fisherman, keeping your fishing going with sons, or if you're a goldsmith, keeping that running, or if you're a blanket maker, keeping that going, or whatever. Whereas romance is a notional thing. It serves no practical purpose in that sense. Romance is in a way the opposite of practicality. So these very ordinary women of Plato's time, who weren't educated and who were basically for having children, how could you have society with them? How could you share culture? How could a cultured person share his interests? And how could a woman who spends her life raising children and cooking food have anything to share with cultured people, cultured men, right? So then men become the society of men, and men become the object of admiration and all that stuff. So let me posit this. I think the homosexuality in And Plato does seem to ratify this by making this distinction again and again. I think the homosexual love that we see in Plato is notional and not physical or sexual. Although, and the notional appreciation of beauty is good, whether you're talking about the beauty of a man, beauty of a woman, beauty of a flower, beauty of a sunset. That's all good. But then Plato will say, perhaps in modern day terms, it becomes disordered or excessive when it falls into the sexual, for instance. And Plato does make that distinction sometimes. So let me put it this way, that I'm wondering if this homosexuality stuff is just deep friendship, admiration, and stuff, and that the romance part and the sexual part don't necessarily have one to do with the other, and that it's only through our cultural conditioning that we attach all these aspirations of the soul to romance. Okay, so romance is defined as seeking, and this is what the impression I get from the Phaedrus is, that love is about, one seeks love, and in a very disorderly and appetitive way and uncontrolled way, because one has so many, has such striving for immortality. And he says this in the book, striving for immortality. We want the forms, we want the perfections of beauty and so on. And then we and not seeing the forms and not seeing the gods, we look at their lesser manifestations, for instance, in the beauty of a young man, right? And that's what Plato seems to understand, is that this is a surrogate of spiritual love. So why is it not directed at a woman? Well, it can be if you have society with her, or it can be directed at a man who you find just admirable in many ways or whatever. So that sexuality, or sorry, I should say romance is a notional thing that Plato seems to say is a surrogate for our divine need, right? In so many ways. I hope this makes sense, guys. Anyway, I know it's longer than 10 minutes now, but hopefully not too much longer. Thanks so much, guys. See how I did in your comments. Bye.